Hey, friends, this is Raj, and I want to take a moment to invite you on the start of what I think will be a journey of discovery. A number of friends and family members have reached out to me and they've been asking, so, what are you up to these days? What are you learning? What are you reading, discovering, growing in? What is God showing you? And I thought instead of having a number of individual conversations, I would just make a few posts and put them up and see where all this goes. So, starting with the next one, I want to talk about some things that God's doing in my life, in our family, and share them. It would be really cool to form a virtual community of people that are on a journey of discovery following God. That's that's kind of my dream. A few friends and several loved ones actually suggested I make these. One person asked me, "So, how many of these posts are you going to make?" I don't know. What is the content going to be like? I don't know. What is the main theme? I don't know. What I think I know, it's going to be a journey of discovery, and I want to invite you to it, and we'll see where it all leads. Another person asked me, who are you hanging out with these days? I'm actually super grateful to the friends, and you know who you are, that have walked closely with us. But I thought about what kind of community is God desiring to birth in our midst, in our world today? My mind went to a book by Brennan Manning. You may have heard of it. It's called The Ragamuffin Gospel. And I was rereading part of it this summer. And I love what he says in the introduction of this book. Brennan Manning says the gospel was written, and his interpretation of it in this book was written with a very specific reading audience in mind. He says the gospel is not for the super spiritual, it's not for the muscular Christians who have made John Wayne and not Jesus their hero. It's not for the academicians who would imprison Jesus in the ivory tower of exegesis. It's not for noisy, feel good folks who manipulate Christianity. It's not for the hooded mystics who want magic in their religion. It's not for the Alleluia Christians who live only on the mountaintop and have never visited the valley of desolation. It's not for the fearless. It's not for the tearless. It's not for the red hot zealots who boast with the rich young ruler of the Gospels, all these commandments have I kept from my youth. It's not for the complacent who hoist over their shoulders a tote bag of honors, diplomas, and good works, actually believing they have it made. It's not for the legalists who would rather surrender control of their souls to rules than run the risk of living in union with Jesus. That was quite a lot. So this kind of begs the question, who is it for? What kind of community is God wanting to birth in our world, in our midst? And I love what he writes next. See if any of this describes you, and if it does, I hope you'll stay close to God in a journey of discovery. This is what Brennan Manning writes. The gospel is for the bedraggled, the beat up, and the burned out. It's for the sorely burdened who are still shifting the heavy suitcase from one hand to the other. It's for the wobbly and weak-kneed who know they don't have it all together and are too proud to accept the handout of amazing grace. It's for the inconsistent, unsteady disciples whose cheese is falling off their cracker. It's for poor, weak, sinful men and women with hereditary faults and limited talents. It's for earthen vessels who shuffle along on feet of clay. It's for the bent and the bruised who feel that their lives are a grave disappointment to God. It's for smart people who know they are stupid and honest disciples who admit they are scalawags. In essence, he says, this message full of grace and love and mercy is a message for me. I find that very comforting. So an interesting thing happened right as I was about to record this audio. The power went out, so I lit this candle. And it reminded me of a saying that has inspired me over the years, that it is better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. And I know over the last few years, a lot of us have faced a lot of craziness. The world is divisive and dark. And there's just a lot of frayed nerves and people are on edge. In the middle of all that, we can either curse the darkness or light a candle. So I'm lighting a candle. Actually, physically lit a candle here. And I want to invite you to the journey of lighting a candle. And we'll see where all this leads. By the way, interesting little trivia about that saying, it's better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. It's often attributed to Eleanor Roosevelt, but she was not the first one who said it. It was a pastor by the name of William Watkinson who first used it in a sermon back in 1907, and that's interesting to me. Jesus said he was the light of the world. He also said, you're the light of the world. Better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. So let's see where it all leads. And until next time, God bless you, friends. Love you.